Hi folks, it's Gary here and a very warm welcome to the first in what will be a regular series of videos here on the Fourth Official and on Scotland's Coefficient, tracking all the fantasy SPFL news. And for the first video, I thought I would talk you through the game. If you are new to fantasy football for this season and you want to get involved with us, this video will show you all about what the game is, how to play it, how to get involved with us here at the Fourth Official and Scotland's Coefficient and join our mini league. What is Fantasy SPFL? It is a game backed on the official SPFL website, where you can pick a squad of players of 15 to get you through the season. You score various points based on the performance of those players, and very much with this game, if you're familiar with the Fantasy FPL game for the English Premiership, there are a few subtle differences between the FPL game and the Scottish game, and pretty much the Scottish game does reward goal scoring. If your goalkeeper scores you a goal, you get 15 points. If one of your defenders scores a goal, you get 15 points. If your midfielder scores a goal, you get 12 points. If your striker scores a goal, you get 10 points. So you should be looking to fill your team up with as many goal scoring options as possible. That means defenders that will get you goals and assists. So fullbacks in particular, players that are on penalties. Again, your midfielders should be goal scoring options, should be players that will create opportunities, get assists, albeit there are some points in there as well for tackling, where you get 1 point for players that are like to get a tackle in. So maybe someone like Cammy Devlin, maybe it'll be someone that does quite well under that metric. But by far, the big points are on goals and on assists. So you should really be looking to try and fill your team up with as many goal scoring options as is possible. Now, what you also get with the game is a few kind of chips. So, like the Fantasy Premier League game, you get extra points if your captain scores a points, for example. But the Scottish game's a little bit different. Your captain will automatically score you an additional 20 points each week. If you do not select a captain, or you have your team incomplete with 15 players, so that's your 11 starters and your 4 substitutes, you do not get the free substitutes for the following week's game. So that's really, really important, because if you don't use those free transfers, then they will roll on and build you up a pot of transfers that you can use throughout the season. So if you get players that get injured or fall out of form or even get transferred out of the league with the transfer window still being open, that ability to bank transfers for later use will become very, very useful indeed for you. The other big chip that you can use is called Bench Boost. So you can pick out a super sub, a player that you think will not start a game for his team, but if they come off the bench, then their points automatically get trebled. So if you pick your super sub, they come off the bench for their related team and then go on and score a goal. If that's a defender, then you're going to get 45 points for that player coming off the bench. So really, really important that you select your super sub wisely, and it is a player that's likely to be a substitute for their own team, because your own substitutes bench within Fantasy SPFL, all of those players' points are halved in the game. So if you've got a load of players on your bench that end up starting, then automatically you're going to lose half the number of points for them. But that might still be quite useful for you if you've got a lot of strikers or midfielders on your bench, because if they score points, then at least half of those points are better than getting nothing, because in Fantasy FPL, for example, you don't score anything for players that are on the bench. So what I wanted to do is talk you through what my draft is in the first instance for game week 1. Really, really important, and I think game week 1 in a game like fantasy football can be a little bit of a punt, because you don't have any form to base yourself off of, apart from maybe some of the League Cup games or some of the pre-season friendlies, but they are only a little bit of a guidance in terms of what you might do. You don't quite know how new signings are going to fit into the game, for example. So your game week one, I think, always is important to play with a little bit of caution, especially in around new signings. So as you can see here, this is my game week one draft. I've gone for the Hearts goalkeeper, Rouse. He's in at only £4 million, and I think that's a really good point to come in. Most other goalkeepers in the game are kind of premium goalkeepers. If you think of Rangers Celtic, for example, they're up and around the kind of 6 million mark. So it's important. Rouse in at just 4 million gives you that money to spend elsewhere in your team. As I mentioned earlier, I've gone for 3 defenders, all of which I think have got decent attacking options in Stu Rommins and then double Motherwell of Dylan Williams, a new signing for them, who scored for them midweek in their European game, and Emmanuel Longelo, who a player who was very good last season for them, often plays in midfield or as a winger. So those attacking options are really good for him, albeit he comes in at quite a hefty price point at 7 million. I've gone for a 5-man midfield. Tello Asgard at 7 million. I think he's a player, I think especially until Rangers sign some wingers, is likely to get a lot of game time. Regan Charles Cook, a player who's scored goals for Motherwell in their European games so far, and is a bit of a fantasy football legend. Did very, very well for Ross County a few years ago, and is someone who I'm expecting to have a pretty good season for Motherwell. Mark O'Hara, back at Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock with a very decent opening game of the season for them. So I'm expecting decent returns from him. He sometimes takes penalties, so he could be a useful pick, and at only 5 million, again allows you some budget to be spent elsewhere. Calvin Miller did very well for Hearts. For Falkirk last season, has been signed by Hearts, and is someone who, albeit at 7.5 million, again gives you those attacking returns, and a player who I think might be a bit of a differential this season is Yang from Celtic. Only 5% owned, and I think he's someone who is liked by Martin O'Neill, and I think we'll go on it and get some decent points for them this season. I've gone for a double strike force premium. Lauren Shankland at 12.5 million. He's also my captain, so he's got that double 20 points attached, and we will score double any points that he scores for Rangers in their game against Dundee United tonight. And you're signing for Celtic, Camilo Giran, who you can get at 10 million. Their other big signing, Casper Hu, is also a premium player at 12.5 million. And I just felt I'd rather keep a little bit of money in the bank to allow me some movement with regards to potential transfers in the future. My 4 substitutes, Nathan Lowe, who scored for Hibs in their European game on Thursday night. New signing for Hearts, Bassey and Callum Osmond. So we've got 3 strikers all on the bench, again focusing in on those attacking gains. Callum Osmond, I think, will play a lot for Celtic off the bench this season, so I've got him as my super sub. And Shungi Larsson, the Kilmarnock defender, is my 4th substitute. So all 4 of those players will get half points, albeit if Callum Osmond comes on for Celtic in their game against Dundee on Monday night, hopefully get some points for them, and that will be quite lucrative in terms of my day 1 draft. So, what's your team? Let me know in the comments. Who have you gone for? Who have you picked? And as we go with these videos throughout the season, we will update you with the league standings and the Scotland's Coefficient Mini League, and will be articles on both the Scotland's Coefficient page and also on the Fourth Official, giving you updates of who's in form, who's scoring points, who's not scoring points. So please interact with the posts, interact with us on social media, let us know who you've picked, and let's have a really good, fun season here in fantasy football. I'll speak to you next time. Goodbye.